Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be making the tantalizing, the delicious, the juicy black pepper buns from Shokugeki No Soma, also known as Food Wars. Let's look at some dramatic shots and jump right into this tasty dish. For those of you who haven't seen the anime, Soma creates a black pepper bun made of pork, black pepper, and a dumpling-like pastry in order to beat a Thundercats ripoff in a competition. The first step of this recipe is to dramatically put your spices into a dish. That way you can then take the dish and transfer the spices directly into a pan to toast them. The reason you toast them is it helps bring out their flavor oils. Next, you want to flip over your mortar and put in the stick thing. That way you can put the following spices you just toasted into the pestle and mortar and mush them up. We have sesame seed, fennel, Szechuan peppercorn, and pumpkin spice. I mean clove. These are 4 of the 5 seasonings in Chinese 5 spice. Don't worry, we'll add the 5th spice later so that way we don't have 4/5 of a spice. Now you want to block the camera to add in some olive oil. That way we're going to make a nice tasty spiced oil. It'll be infused with all 4 out of 5 spices from Chinese 5 spice. Now zoom in really close to a cup and put rice vinegar into it. I'm going to put a lot of rice vinegar because I'm making a lot of pepper buns. But I'll give you the exact amounts for the recipe that you need below. And because you enjoy washing dishes, add soy sauce to a completely different cup. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to chop up some negi, which isn't a racial term but actually just means green onion in Japanese. You guys are actually watching my ultimate technique where I move faster than time itself. Now you want to take the ground pork rib and you want to add the spices to it. The first thing we're going to add is the soy sauce, and then we're going to add the rice wine vinegar. Bowl teleportation! Now for extra flavor, you want to block the camera in order to add your infused spice oil into the mix. If you want your pork buns to actually be spicier, I highly recommend adding significantly more Szechuan peppercorns to your toasting and mushing before you add your oil. Now we're going to add an actual metric ton of black pepper. Exact amounts in the description below once again. Now this entire time you were probably wondering, wow, we didn't add the 5th spice in the Chinese 5 spice. Well, here it is. It's cinnamon. Now personally I would recommend using about half the amount of cinnamon the recipe actually calls for. I find it to be a particularly strong flavor. Next you want to add in your green onions. I'm also going to add in a little bit of garlic powder and MSG, which isn't bad for you, that's just a myth. It literally exists in about every type of Chinese food ever. And finally, we're going to add in white sugar and some garlic powder. Now take your hand sausages and mush everything together until it's well combined. You really want to incorporate all the seasoning throughout all the pork, that way every bite is absolutely tantalizing and delicious. Now channeling my inner Gordon Ramsay, I'm going to use puff pastry because the show says it's a flaky, crispy exterior. Now this stuff is stickier than a girl on prom night, so make sure to flour your work surface evenly and take a very long time to make sure it's dramatic. Now puff pastry comes folded up, so you want to take a little bit of water and mush down those seams so that way things won't break when you really start rolling. Look at this fine transition. Now roll out your dough with a rolling pin. And lots of flour, like lots of flour, otherwise it's going to stick and make an absolute mess. Now take a rounded bowl or object and put it down so you can trace around the circumference of it, which is the round part, to make the outside of your wrapper. Now I don't know if you like big buns or small buns, but if you save all the scraps, you can make a lot of buns. Next, what you want to do is you want to take your meat filling and you want to put it in the middle of your wrapper, leaving an inch or 2 on the outside so that way we can fold it on top of it to make our delicious pastry dumpling. You want to scramble some baby chickens and a little bit of water in order to make egg wash. Just use your fingers, go around the outside of the wrapper, and this is going to be the glue that holds our dumpling together. Now we're actually just going to take the outer edges and start folding them towards the middle of the dumpling, making sure that you're stacking these little tips on top of the same area. That way we can seal it up and there won't be any leaks or anything along those lines. Feel free to start mushing it together, and once it's kind of inside the puff pastry, you're all set. You want to start kind of forming it into a round ball envelope package. Now you want to take some egg wash and go over the top of the bun. This is going to do 2 things. One, it's going to give it a nice golden brown color and a little bit of crispiness, and it's also going to allow the sesame seeds to stick. Now take your little white ants and sprinkle them on the top to give it a nice, dramatic finish. Now hold the shot for a really long time at a different angle and just pick up the bun from under it and put it on a baking tray. Just like this. However, I recommend putting a rack on the bottom of your pan because when they come out, these suckers are juicy. They're leaking juice, and the whole point of the bottom folding is to make it so they don't leak. Here's a couple dramatic close-up shots to see how crispy and delicious it actually looks in person. Alright guys, I'm going to give you my actual, honest review of this item. I've never had it before. It's just as juicy as it says it is in the show, and it has a very deep pepper flavor. The pork is succulent, and the combination of the spices are actually really, really good. I would give it a solid 4 out of 5. I would just add more Szechuan peppercorns for some spice and cut back a little bit on the cinnamon. I would love to know what your favorite anime food is, and what anime food you'd like me to make, because I think it's pretty cool taking something from fantasy and putting it into reality, and I would love to do that for you guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the black pepper buns from Shokugeki No Soma, or Food Wars, and I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to the channel, or just leave a comment below. I appreciate all of it. Thank you.